you all have as a strategic priority for the business currently this expectation that the returning revenue, the returning customers are going to be more and more of the contribution of the revenue and the margin over time. So the email SMS strategy and the platform underpinning that is critical to make the decisions at this point that set you all up for longer term. Could you walk us through then, related to that, what led to some of these decisions and discussions around looking for a different platform, considering a migration, and what really led to this process as it relates to the strategic priority for the business and what you all were looking for on the email SMS side of things?
This episode of the e-commerce playbook is brought to you by AppLovin. If, like a lot of brands, you're looking for ways to profitably diversify your ad spend, you need to check out Axon by AppLovin. Axon connects brands to 1 billion plus potential new customers across top-ranked mobile games. Axon ads are full-screen videos followed by multiple interactive screens, getting a minimum of 10 seconds of undivided attention and a median watch time of 35 seconds. 70% of brands see higher LTV from Axon customers compared to other platforms. It's super easy to launch, and brands have been able to scale to $100K per day in spend within days. Axon is offering a $5K ad credit when you spend $5K. Just go to axon.ai/CTC to set up your first campaign.
Hey everyone, welcome to the e-commerce playbook podcast. I am Luke Austin, and I am joined today by Gil Dine, who leads marketing at Rutsu Barefoot. We have the pleasure of working and partnering with them. And what we're going to be diving into today is getting into the lifecycle marketing, email SMS world of things, specifically a conversation around platforms in this space, and chatting through what a journey for them has looked like as it relates to a migration to Omnisend versus the platform they were previously on, and what led to that decision, what the experience was like, and then some of the inner workings and specifics of it as well. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting conversation. There's not a lot of these conversations where we get really under the hood of platform migrations, the decision-making factors that lead to them, what the actual experience is like, the do's and don'ts, and just being able to hear from someone who's in it, leading marketing growth at a direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand, making these decisions and what the experience was actually like. So, Gil, thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you today. Maybe to start out, would you give us a little background on yourself, who you are, your prior experience, what you're currently doing at the brand, and sort of tee up some of that background before we get into more of the specifics around this conversation?
Yeah, sure. So very glad to be here. And I'm working with Rutsu for the last 2 years. I have a 12-year experience in e-commerce. We have a period brand in the footwear industry running for 10 years. It's mostly Amazon. This one, we took it B2C because the nature of the business. And yeah, we launched 18 months ago. We sold almost 45,000 units until now, and we hope to sell about 80,000 this year. And we're going very fast. And yeah, we're happy to work with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Incredible to hear the growth trajectory, and we're excited to be a part of that journey with you all as well in a small way. Before we get into the conversation around Omnisend and the migration, I'm curious if you could give some broader context of what the current sort of marketing mix and strategy from a high level looks like for Rutsu. We're going to get to email and SMS. We're going to connect it to Omnisend. Obviously, that's a very strong and important part of the growth strategy for the brand. But over the 2 years that you've been there, and then even over these recent months, could you give a high level for folks of what are the key things that you are focused on and that have been crucial to driving some of the growth that you've seen for the brand more holistically from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, I think the way we look at marketing, I think about, because we have so much experience in the footwear industry. So the first thing that we're looking at, of course, it's like product production, it's product development. And we put a lot of effort, and actually the owner of the brand, the guy I'm working, then I built the brand from scratch, but he's the one that's doing all the product development, and the main like growth platform and the main thing. Whatever we do in marketing, at the end, the big money in the product development and find the winners. And that's what we're doing in most of that time. And of course, I'm dealing with all the online marketing. And at the moment, we focus mostly on Facebook and Google. I think about 80% of our budget go to Facebook, and that's where you can bring growth. But the way that we use email and retention is also very important for us. As a footwear brand, we start with I think in the first year, we've been in around 12% return customers. And our goal is to reach in year 3 to reach about 45 return customers, 45%. So that's why the email is such an important component in our growth model.
That's great. So, yeah, appreciate that context on the overall marketing strategy. So with that, you all have as a strategic priority for the business currently this expectation that the returning revenue, the returning customers are going to be more and more of the contribution of the revenue and the margin over time. So the email SMS strategy and the platform underpinning that is critical to make the decisions at this point that set you all up for longer term. Could you walk us through then, related to that, what led to some of these decisions and discussions around looking for a different platform, considering a migration, and what really led to this process as it relates to the strategic priority for the business and what you all were looking for on the email SMS side of things?
Yeah, I think like with all channel, of course, the big money is, than Facebook, and that's where you need to be best, and that's where you spend most of the money. But with all this thing that like all the SaaS and all platform and all services, we always try to save, but I don't mean like we cheap or we trying to, to cut corner, but we try to save and be most efficient wherever we can in the process in order to put all the money into ads and growth. So we're checking things all the time. We audit all the time. We try to improve all the time because we're a small brand, we bootstrap, and we want to grow fast. So we need to put every dollar that we can into marketing and into growth and not into SaaS yet. So we do aware that the SaaS economy, and we do need to pay, but we always try to pay less.
I love the way that you frame that, which is, yes, saving costs as much as possible and where we're able to, but not just for the sake of saving those costs, for the sake of reinvesting into more growth for the business, right?
Exactly.
So how do we?
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're very P&L based. We always we profit from day one, and we always look in in the bottom line. But within that, we try to cut wherever we can and put as much to grow. Yeah. That's the way we operate.
I think it's such an important framing in any conversations that relates to the platform, the tooling, the vendors, the resourcing that brands are using. There should always be the sort of two sides of the coin of, okay, how do we have the most efficient resourcing in these areas and save on costs, but what is the reinvestment towards growth and driving more value that it's going to lead to? And for you guys, it was very clear, okay, if we can save dollars in this area, it's going to allow us to invest more into ad spend and meta, and then the creative to fuel meta specifically, right? And that's going to drive more growth for the business. And so how do we continue that loop, which I think is really important. So part of the leading up to this decision, the cost consideration was an important piece of it based on what you're sharing. What were some of the other considerations in the conversations that you all had as it relates to the functionality or the tooling, or if we re-platform, are we going to be missing features or tooling that we had previously? In addition to the cost, what were some of the other considerations or potential concerns you all had as you worked through these conversations?
I think the consideration is like the main issue for me as a e-com operator. It's the time. My day, can start with, at 5 a.m. I'm talking to, to our VA in the Philippines, talking about customer concern. And then later on, I start working with Sagi, the owner. We start to work with the factory. We start to discuss, production development. So you need to, every process you make in the company or everything you change, especially when you grow. And we are in the mid seven figure, so and we hope to be like eight. We will be eight actually in next year. So I need to allocate my time right. And every process, the way I'm always looking for a new opportunity. Sometimes it's just totally new stack. Sometimes it's like just a change or make changes stack, but always I need to see that the process and whatever we do, it's going to be simple in order to complete it without destroying the other thing that we do in the business. So it's always need to balance. And for me, really the time is the biggest issue. It's like something you need to know that you have a good partner and someone that with a good review and can take you to the next step. Yes. So yeah, it's about mostly I think it's about saving because a lot of time, especially with today, with the AI and all the components, it's really hard to compare between platform and it's too techy. Yeah, you don't have time to deal with any tech issue, with all the tech issue. Just need a good partner, reliable platform that can deliver.
Brands like Ridge, Ashley Furniture, and Wayfair are unlocking incremental revenue with Axon by AppLovin. Axon ads are full-screen videos that run in top-ranked mobile games with a median watch time of 35 seconds. That's longer than a standard TV commercial. You can get up and running on Axon in under an hour using the creatives you already have. D2C brands have scaled to six-figure daily spend within days of launching, and you'll get a 5K ad credit when you spend 5K. Go to axon.ai/CTC to get started.
That makes total sense. So the cost consideration, saving on the pricing to be able to reinvest those dollars into growth, being a core part of this, and then connected to that, the simplicity of the tool that was being used. You were able to do everything that you needed to do from a functionality standpoint with Omnisend, but it sounds like there was a piece of it that was there. It's more simple and straightforward to use for what you guys needed, in addition to the cost savings. That the combination of those two things is what made the decision.
The combination, yes, and the promise of Omnisend that they lead you and they lead the transmission, the transformation. Yeah, so that's really important as well. Yeah, because if I had to do it by myself, it will be complicated. But when the way they handle it is something that will allow you to consider and do it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so let's get to that piece of the conversation now, which is the migration itself. You hinted at this earlier, but I think the platform migration generally, and then specifically as it relates to email service providers, or that there's certain migrations that come with a lot more concern and considerations for a lot of folks. So walk us through what the migration process itself was like for you all.
So yeah, first of all, as I mentioned before, Omnisend take the lead on the whole process from start to finish. Yeah, so everything they take you in your hand and they take you through. The first thing in the process, they have an app built for migration, only for migration, and they just they get the access and they actually migrate all your data from everything from email and template and whatever, and all the flow and the design, everything from your old platform to Omnisend. So that's really easy process that they done. It takes few days with all the list and everything, but it's all done in the background and it's nothing that you need to worry about. Once that's done, the next step is to allocate about, I think, 4 to 5 hours, depending on how complex is your account, and then go through all the flow, all the email, all the handle, all the technical setup and check it. And again, and that's also Omnisend is take you, in the hand and they lead you through this process, but it needs to be done. Yeah. You need to allocate about 4 hours to see that everything in the migrant process went smoothly and there is no mistakes, all the links are right. Sometimes the dynamic content need to be tweaked a bit. Well, very small thing, just you need to allocate time and frame a time for it and finish it in one time, then you're all set.
Yeah, that's great.
From
so
a migrant point of view, yeah.
That's great. So from a high level, what I heard from you said is the migration total can take less than a week. 4 to 5 days is what it took you all. And then in terms of the time that you were directly needing to spend on the process was allocating a good half a day at least, or a little more than that to really deep dive into it. But a 4 to 5 day timeline in terms of the process total, and then in terms of your time, a good half day or a little bit more than that to be able to get it accomplished. Is that right? Are there any other sort of buckets of
Yeah, I
time, or is
think
it
it's
a lot
I
more?
think it's again, if it's planned right, it can take less than 30 days, but yeah, more or less 30 days, but doesn't require, if it's planned right, it doesn't require a lot of your time. It just need to be planned. That's why it's so important to, after the migration, really go over everything and look at everything. Migrant, it's technology. Sometimes it's a glitch. Sometimes like the dynamic field is different. It's small thing, but you do it once and you all set.
Yeah, that's great. So my understanding is if we sort of bucket the pieces of P into these different categories. So the lists and segments, like your contact database, that portion of it, the migration for that is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of work to be done. The lists and segments and the
Yes,
contacts come over
exactly.
pretty straightforward.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, and then from there, you're using the platform to send out the campaigns to your list, et cetera. The flows and automation piece of this, I think, is the thing that is the bigger question for me typically, which is for the flow and automation workflow. Everyone has their welcome series and abandoned checkout, and they have post purchase, and they have 7-step sequences for their win back campaign, whatever it might be. Right, the whole automation and flow infrastructure. What did that process look like, or what is that process looking like for you guys, and being able to effectively transition and migrate over the flow and automation infrastructure that you had into a whole new platform?
So in general, the migration app is taking care of it, but sometimes there is a small difference between the platforms. So it doesn't mirror it exactly, and it doesn't translate exactly as with any other electronic form. Yeah, it's not different. So it's really just requires, so you got the basic. All you need to do is to allocate those 4 hours, go over all your flow, and make those small tweaks that need to be fixed, and you're all done. That's it. So you don't need to think so much. You just need the time to go over it, and the time that you allocate for it, and I'm on it, yeah, because you need to be concentrate on that. That's it. So very straightforward. Yes, nothing.
Okay, and I'm curious.
Actually, I just want to add it. It's actually a lot of the time, it's especially with flow, we do it and then we forget about it. And for me, it was a really good opportunity to go again over the flow and and refreshing and make things better. That change over time. You can use
Okay,
this
so
opportunity actually to make it better.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because where my mind goes is, there's, in all the flows that you have set up, you have the individual email sequences, you have the triggers, you have dynamic fields, you have links in all of them. So it sounds like the migration handled a lot of that in the work that you then did after that, which is sort of QA and everything, maybe making adjustments to the automations. They're like all of that was handled. It sounds like the build
Yeah.
out of the flows and automations reflected what you guys had built out previously, where you weren't needing to go and QA every single one of your flows and automations and finding
Everything is
dynamic
going, the template,
field or-
everything is there. You just need to go over it and just send it to yourself, see if things change. It's really small tweak, just need to be done.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective too. The timing of the migration is a really good time to audit the whole program and rethink. Oh, let's refresh that flow. Oh, let's add another branch to our welcome series, whatever that might be. And then I think the final piece of the process that typically will come up in these conversations is the warm-up phase of being able to start sending out campaigns, not being able to send to your full list, sort of gradually ramping up so that there aren't any issues and your domain isn't getting flagged. What does that process look like on the warm-up phase for you guys to be able to get back to being full bore on the campaign cadence that you had?
Yeah. So again, it's it's an easy process. You just need to plan it in ahead, and especially give it like a window, and not putting in the time that you have a big sale or any big event, because you don't want to do it with that. And the way it's been done, it's Omnisend is taking your list, your full list, and then they break it into small audience. And every day they started with a very engaged and open until you get to the full list. So you need to, and every day it's actually double the numbers. So for us with the 60,000, it took, we had to send 9 days. So you can actually, they said, okay, you can send whatever the mail that you have in your pipeline. Then if you do like that, you might meet important things. So that's why it's really important. So my point of view is to find the window where you can send an email that it doesn't care if people get it or not, just for the process. But you can also do it with regular email. You just know that you're going to miss some of the people. Yeah. So I think it's better. It's really important to find a good timing and not doing it like in a big sale or anything like, that will affect your performance in this process. But otherwise, it's very straightforward. They building the audience for you, and you just touch the email and send to this group. Yes.
So the timing is a good call out. Yeah, anyone who's considering something like this, Q4 probably isn't the time period. So getting it done before that, it would probably be a wise decision.
No. In Q4, you don't want to do anything dramatic. Yeah, but it definitely needs to be in the off time and where you can allow like weeks. It doesn't mean that you can send an email. You actually can send, but just need to, you don't want the most important email to be missed and only send to one audience. Yeah.
That's great. Those were some of the key things that we had discussed. Those were some of the main questions I had, and I think the conversation topics that typically come up for folks as it relates to what a migration entails, what the process looks like. Gail, I'm curious, is there anything else outside of what we discussed as we land the plane here for folks? Anything else that is worth communicating, or that you want to make sure that we touch on about this process,
I think,
or more broadly?
I think, first of all, as we say a few times during the conversation, it's planning. Just it doesn't like big plan. Just find the time and allocate time and look for it and process for the whole months. Yeah, it just, you don't need to be on it for 1 month, but just find the right time to do it. And the other thing that Omnisend have really, really good customer service. I based in Bangkok, so I'm working in a weird time zone, and they really available 24/7, fast, very efficient, like very professional. So that's a big plus. And I think it's really, if you consider doing like change like this, it just definitely, if you need the money to grow, and if you want to consolidate anything in the process, just in your stack, just do it. Yeah, it's very easy, and I think I highly recommend. We're still in the very early stage of seeing the result, but we send already few emails, for our engaged list, and the results seem very good with open rate, and everything looks good. Yeah, technical part.
It's great. Well, thanks, Gil, for walking us through that. And I'll throw out there as well for anyone still with us in the process. We have integrations to all the major platforms, including Omnisend. In our process, we plan out the forecast every day, every dollar across email and SMS. We have targets for each of the channels that we track against, and we build out an email plan to make sure that there are enough emails, enough SMS, and that the campaign send cadence, the campaign types allow us to be able to hit the business forecast that we have built out. And Omnisend and the integration with those folks is one of the new ones that we've connected in Statlas in our system to be able to do the same with them, as well as for the other major platforms that most folks are on. So Gil, appreciate your time. Appreciate you walking us through what the experience has been like for you, and excited for what you all have in store over the next couple of years as the brand continues to grow, as the returning revenue and the email SMS channel becomes more and more important as contributing to that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, and appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.